Head coach Mark Johnson will have his jersey retired at the men's game on Saturday night at the Kohl Center. And as you can see up here, this weekend, both the men's and women's hockey teams will be wearing commemorative number 10 jerseys during warm-ups. These jerseys will be signed by Coach Johnson and be auctioned online, with 100% of the proceeds going to the UW Carbone Cancer Center. The auction will go live tomorrow and close next Monday. And more information will be available on the auction at uwbadgers.com starting tomorrow. Coach Johnson is here. We'll have some opening comments, then take questions.
Wow. Well, just reflecting on the past weekend's game, I certainly liked the way we responded Saturday after losing our game Friday night 2-1. It's interesting, as a coach, we've got the worst seat usually in the arenas. And so as I went back to the hotel, watched the game Friday night a second time, I was like, we didn't play that bad. We didn't give up many opportunities. The third period, we didn't give up much at all. They found a way to get a puck in the net, and we weren't able to do that. The one thing we needed to do Saturday, we needed to, change a couple things. We changed some lines. We looked at our power play from Friday night, thought we could have done a better job, and if, it was up to where it needs to be, we probably could have won the game with our power play Friday night. We weren't able to do that, so we made a couple adjustments, and both things worked pretty well Saturday. We played a little harder, played a little bit more determined, came away with a nice win. And so as I look at this week, there's not much going on this week, so I'm sort of relaxed and getting ready to have a real fun week. But it'll be busy. A lot of good things happening. Obviously, our games, 2 on Saturday and 2 o'clock on Sunday are important. What happens before that, and Saturday night. You don't really dream of those things. You don't think about them, and as they're happening, they're sort of surreal and humbling. And so I'm looking forward to it. It's a lot of people coming back, a lot of people from my family coming into town, and so it'll be a busy weekend. It'll be a special weekend, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. Although I may ask Tony, I just talked to Tony a couple minutes ago. I do have 1 year of eligibility left. Now, jersey looks pretty nice, and maybe he'll sneak me on the power play Friday night, seeing we're not playing.
Jeff?
Mark, over on your left here. Is any of this, if surreal is the right word, or a little bit strange, or is it all just good this week that you're going to enjoy it?
It's probably all of the above. Like I mentioned, growing up, and, the biggest dream, I think a lot of kids that played hockey in Madison when I was growing up was, maybe you'll get a chance to play for the Wisconsin Badgers. And if you had Bidden games, you saw what the crowds were like at the Coliseum both Friday and Saturday. And, it was a special place. It was a special building. And, for the selected few that got an opportunity to play here, you felt fortunate. And certainly, as I reflect back on my playing days, it was fun. It was enjoyable. There wasn't a building in college hockey like the Coliseum, and so you got a chance to play there. I did for 3 years, and great memories, great games, great teammates, and you never think about evenings that are going to happen like this Saturday. So it's a lot of the above, and having my dad's name on the ice makes it a little bit more special. So it'll be an emotional evening.
Todd? Mark, I've had a lot of people weigh in on this, and I thought I'd give you a chance to. What made you the player that you were? What were the elements that got you to the point where you can be 125 goals in 125 games here, Olympic player, NHL player? What did it start with for you?
Probably having a dad that was in the business and was pretty good at what he did, and getting an opportunity to be dragged along and hang on to his shirt tail and watch. I was a stick boy at a real young age and watched practices, watched a lot of games, in between the benches at the Coliseum as a stick boy, so you got a firsthand view of the game. And obviously Wisconsin had good teams back then. When you got involved in watching practices or history tells me the Russian games that I played in on Sunday afternoons after a weekend series was an education. And so I think, I got a firsthand look at somebody that loved the game, that was innovative, and so I saw a lot of things firsthand, and subconsciously I think a lot of that part of the game and how to play the game and how to score goals, what a power play was all about. I just absorbed a lot of that, as did my brother, because we were around it. And so, we did hockey, we did baseball, we did golf, we did a lot of different sports growing up. And I think, as any young kid, as you get pretty good at one, you sort of gravitate over into that sport, and you try to improve and try to get better. And I had a lot of great coaches growing up. I had a good coach in high school, Bill Howard. A lot of times he was hard on us, but you reflect back, and it was all getting an opportunity to improve my skills. And then having Grant Stanbrook here, who's going to be looked at and honored Friday night, was a great mentor. Probably the biggest tool that I had was working hockey schools and having a lot of good coaches that were friends with my dad over time, teaching us how to play the game the right way and improving your skill level. That probably was the main reason why I got to the level I did.
Mark, obviously you left during your playing career, your professional playing career, but you've pretty much been around here for a long time. What has it meant to you to kind of be involved with Wisconsin hockey for all these years and never having left town? What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it means a lot. As I look back, my dad's career as a coach, as a player, the game treated him and his family growing up real well, and it's done the same thing for me. And certainly Madison's been a big part of it. Whether playing for Wisconsin, whether playing at Memorial, where they're playing for the West Side Flyers and having Sub-Zero on your chest. We were just typical kids growing up on the west side of Madison. And, after school, you tried to figure out with your buddies what sport you were going to play. And, depending on what time of the season it was either going to be soccer, it was going to be baseball. You played golf, and, during the hockey season, you played hockey. I was fortunate to have a dad that was in the business, so I got to probably do a little bit more hockey than other people did. But, that's what you did. And so the biggest thing that I had going was I got to go Friday night and Saturday night and lug sticks across the ice and put them on the bench and organize them. And then when the game was over, lug them back into the locker room and be around, players at that time that I sort of idolized, whether it was Murray Heatley, whether it was, Gary Winchester, Dean Talafus, all the players, Timmy Dool, Norm Sherry, all the guys that, really started the program here. I got to watch him play. I got to watch him practice. And, those were the players that I idolized and hope one day that I'd get to wear this jersey and play at Wisconsin too. So a lot of good things. And the most important thing, even when I was playing pro hockey in my early part of my career, is we'd come back to Madison, hang out in the summer and train and work out and do the things that would prepare us for the next season. But I think, just being raised in Madison basically when I moved here in third grade and, still around, hockey's been good. It's been good to me. It's been good to my family. It's been good to my kids. And, I just very much appreciated the opportunities I've had, whether it's here at Wisconsin as a player, as an assistant coach on the men's side, and for the last, good chunk of time being an opportunity to run my own program and be involved with the women's program and watch that grow.
I'm sure there's been times when you had opportunities to leave here. How was that a difficult decision, and was it in part because you're from here and all your history here?
Well, I think as time went on and those opportunities were presented, as I've done in the past, grab my dog, grab my wife, go on a long walk, try to figure out what the next step might be, and try to make a decision. And usually our decisions were based on family. I was involved in pro hockey for 11 years. I moved around after being traded a number of times. You learn the business side of it. And so when I started my family, I wanted stability like I had growing up. My dad didn't leave until all the kids were out of the house, and he ended up, going up to Calgary for 5 years when we were all out, and challenged himself to become a professional coach, and ended up being pretty good at that too. So I sort of took the same steps, and when decisions were in front of me, usually it was going to be a family-orientated decision. What's best for my family, and I think the decisions I've made have been pretty good. There's a couple you look back on, you maybe would have twisted or changed a little bit, but then it would have changed my life. And I look at the last 15 or 16 years of being the women's coach, I won't want to change any of that, because a lot of good things have come out of it, not only for myself, but for my family, my daughters, and some of the players I've been able to touch over that period of time.
Different topic in your games this weekend. What is Sam Cogan? Can you sum up her collegiate career? Seems like it's been pretty good for her, but I mean, there's been bumps, and there's like a lot of people.
Well, I think when she scored Saturday night, I think the bench and her teammates were probably more excited than she was excited in scoring. She hadn't scored in a while, and certainly was a big goal for us, and then scored not too long after that. So in a short period of time, all of a sudden she's got 2 goals. Her hockey IQ is very high. We've asked her to play multiple positions. We've asked her to play defense in some games last season. Last season she played a lot of center ice. She's played left wing. This year she's played a little center when Emily Clark got hurt, and so I look at her career, and I think it's been a really good one. We've asked her to do a lot of things. She generally does them very well, and I think with a lot of players, you might look at their statistics and say, well, she probably could have had more of this or more of that, but I think overall she's done a real good job, and I was very happy to see her score, and hopefully that'll continue, because if she's able to do that, that'll help us win some games down the stretch here.
Andy, in the back.
Mark, how did Grant Stanbrook influence your career?
From a coaching standpoint, besides my dad, he probably had as big as influence as anybody has had, just because of the way he was able to mentor me. So when we run these hockey schools, and whether it was in Sun Valley, Idaho, and Vail or Aspen, we spent 6 summers up in Anchorage, Alaska, and running camp, and Grant was my roommate for those 6 years. And as we all know, the people that know Grant, he was ahead of his time. I go back to 1977, when we're getting ready for our national tournament over in Detroit, and Grant's got a big room in the hotel, and it's an area where the team can stretch as a group, and he'd turn the lights down. It was almost like what we call yoga today, and we're doing that back in 1977, and some of the conditioning things that he was able to do with our teams helped us as players. And so in the morning between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock, there would be 3 power skating sessions, and Grant would be running them, and I would be his demonstrator. And so you do that for one summer, and then you do another summer, and then you do a third summer, and all of a sudden, as a young player, you start to become a pretty good skater. And the more you hanged around Grant, and get involved in the stick handling aspects, or the shooting aspects, or the little integral parts of the game as you break it down, he was ahead of his time. He was a professional. He was knowledgeable. He loved to teach. And I was, the recipient. He taught me a lot about how to play the right way, how to become a better skilled player, and I certainly owe a lot to him in the time that I was able to spend with him, not only at Wisconsin, but at the different camps that we were able to run over the summertime. I remember the first time in 74 or 75 going up to Shattuck, where he was working at a camp, and I got involved in it, and it was just a lot of education and a lot of learning, and I was the one who was able to learn from him.